And we're live.
We love live. Gosh, we do.
Good evening, everyone out there, and welcome to chatWater, the show where we chat all things Blackwater. And boy, oh boy, do we have a special one for you today. Tim, who's our special guest today?
I'm so excited to introduce this person. I spend a lot of time with them, and I care about them a lot. It's, of course, my incredible partner in crime, Em. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me so much. I will let you know that I'm here every week, so it's not as special, but this week is extra special, I guess.
We really appreciate, because we understand your itinerary is quite full with Lore Club. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're able to, eke out the time for us, Tim and I really appreciate this. We've been doing this show for a long time, and to have a guest like you who really knows the lore,
wow,
it's a dream come true. It's like
Fantastic.
this is how the show should be.
Thanks so much. Gosh, I'm honored to be here. In any case, I'm going to set a timer for us to talk about the previous session because we need to talk about who hurt Tim in a past.
Like, Oooby is great, okay? Oooby is combining... Okay, Oooby is serving up that fucking face-stealing Gooby from Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
They're serving up No Face from Spirited Away. Like, they're serving up some real classic...
The New Experience Network posted in our Discord, serving up Edgar from the original Men in Black movie.
Men in Black, that big cockroach.
Yes.
Oooby, I would say... there's nothing wrong with Oooby. If anything, Oooby is kind of iconic. I think Oooby is a perfect Venn diagram of a lot of different influences that have just kind of been like floating around in the cultural zeitgeist. And I think Tim has really sort of hit the nail on the head with Oooby. Kind of a perfect NPC.
I've been watching some like special effects breakdown of John Carpenter's The Thing, and it really spoke to me. I was like, whoa.
Gross.
Body horror.
So perfect NPC, she's romanceable.
Right?
That accounts for a lot.
Yeah.
Put her on the ship.
Yeah. There you go.
And it's just like, of course she tried to put something in your mouth. Like, of course she did.
Who wants to roll in the hay with Oooby? She brings the hay with her.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, apparently.
Don't even notice.
Is it just grass clippings, Tim?
Yeah.
Didn't want to get hung up on the grass because that felt like such a mundane thing to talk about. But
yeah, it's like a freshly mown lawn, a pile of grass clippings. So they're not dry. They're still kind of like browny green and a little damp, as grass is. It's not like hay. It's not like a pile of hay.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I was imagining.
That's not a descriptor I wanted. I didn't need damp, Like I could have done with most other descriptors, but damp was not.
Oooby is definitely a little bit damp.
I've spent a lot of time around grass clippings, and when you cut grass, it gets quite unpleasant, especially when it all gets together in a big clump.
Sticks everywhere, Oh yeah, that's Oooby.
That's why your skin is green. It's just chlorophyll.
I can't believe that you've kept Oooby around for over a year. Tim. Oooby has just been floating out there in, as you were saying, the cultural zeitgeist for a year.
I will say, I did expand upon Oooby. Oooby was originally just a goblin, and then I don't know, I felt inspired.
And this is what happens when you get inspired.
Got a long goblin.
A long goblin, yes.
Goblin. I know we have to go to Shadowfell. I really want to spend time in Sigil. I want to go to the Demon Bar. I want to get to know the different districts. I want to know the people who are here. Like, it seems like such a fun place to be. I'm so curious about this commuter culture where it's like, I go to Cinderfell and collect fruit. That's like taking a rocket ship to like pick up your bubble tea.
It is. It's like a future. It's like any future movie where they've got like interplanetary like colonies. There's always the moon is like a fucking mall. It's like that's what Sigil is. It's just a mall in the plane. But I realized when I was planning it, it was like because I had some of it planned already from the last time you guys in Sigil, and then I was expanding on everything, and then I was like, oh man, there's so much I have to plan because it's like, oh yeah, if they go there, like if they visit this place, so it's like I have to create all these primary portals.
Yeah, when Forno was like, oh yeah, so you've got this place, this place, this place, this place. They're kind of like this. I was like, oh fuck, okay. Tim built this whole
Someone
fucking
has done
donut.
some work.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's like very indicative of your world building, though. Like you just fall down lore holes.
Absolutely.
And then I come out and I'm like, what are you working on? And you're like, oh, I was supposed to do this other thing, and then I fell down a lore hole. So
spiral. Yeah.
I'm curious too, Tim. We had a question in the chat on Saturday, because Sigil is from D&D canon. Is it not?
Yes, it is. The city of Sigil exists in D&D canon, and I think it is also the city of doors. I'm almost certain.
Or known as the Waypoint, but the Waypoint's in the Astral Sea. It's the sister city to the Astral Sea.
Yeah,
right.
In my world,
right.
But I just like the concept of Sigil, the city of doors. I've always thought it was a really cool concept when I first came across it, and I was like, ooh, I want to have that. And I think in the actual canon, it's also donut shaped. I'm pretty sure. And so I was like, I'm just gonna take that. I'm gonna take it and put it in our world because it's a great concept for a place of like somewhere that exists sort of in the center of a lot of the plains and kind of like touches all of these places as its own. Because it would, like, if a place like that existed, a city would pop up around it just for the sheer like power that existed there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's so fascinating too, because like you have done such a good job at like dropping in. I guess for me, it's like candy because you just drop in bits and pieces of stuff I know and pick up on from so many different parts. Like I'm even thinking like the Ishion campaign, all the stuff with Obo Triboli, who was...
That's great.
He sucks. I hate that dude.
Great.
And like, even the option of the fact that we could have gone to Tialmo, which is on Ishion.
Like, when you guys were going to, like, wanting to go to the Shadowfell, I was like, there's, it's not the easiest place to get to, but there's different ways to get there, or like to find somewhere to get to Sigil to get there. And so like trying to flesh those ideas out of like, okay, like who would have access? Like how would one go about getting there without a totem to get there or a tuning fork? And so like thinking about those things, and I was like, oh, okay, I have this guy in Tialmo already who's like a notable sort of portal master. So I was like, well, I got to work that in because he's a fun character that I already know well. So it's like, that's part of it too. It's just like, it's less work for me if it's just a character I have already created that fits the situation.
I think a campaign in which we work for the Teds and, what was his name? Benton? Benton is just the boss and the quest giver. I love it where it's like, you gotta go to the fucking elemental plane of water, and there's some turtles who are in danger, and that sounds like such a delight to me.
I love that. Or even like a campaign based in Sigil where you are like essentially planeswalkers. That's what you do. You are the like interplanar crime stopping group.
It would be fun, like running like a city specific campaign.
Sigil.
Yeah.
Because I'm so curious what the politics is like. Because theoretically, anybody who's there can call in help from whoever's on the other side of the portal. Yeah. So it must be this incredibly delicate balancing act like.
And there's everybody. Like there's devils, there's demons. Like it's all sort of like, because of where it is. Like there is that kind of layer of tension that exists within the city at all times, but it's sort of kept in check by everybody else. It's interesting.
Well, much like the fucking planes themselves, they all sort of counter each other and fucking overlap and shit. Fuck.
Yeah.
I am so excited to go to the Shadowfell. I know we've been talking a little bit about it, and Emma, fucking pumped to go because it's dark and monochromatic, and we love that shit. I love it because one of I think one of the big things for me is that one of the priestesses in Neppy's history, went to the Shadowfell on like a one-way ticket. So she was like lived and buried there. And Neppy's knows that she like went and sought out an incursion of mind flayers who had taken up residence in the Shadowfell. So Neppy's like, okay, maybe I either go and bring her remains home, or I go and honor her in some way.
Do we know she's buried, Em? Do we know? There we go.
No. I mean, Neppy assumes she's buried, or like something has happened where she has been.
Anything goes in Shadowfell.
Yeah, right. Fuck.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
Is it? Is it though?
That's the slogan. It's like anything that happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Anything goes in the Shadowfell.
Because you can never really tell what's happening because it's so dark. So you just go with it.
Right. That's not what they say. That's not.
Sounds like Neppy might be excited about the Shadowfell, but maybe she shouldn't be. Maybe the Shadowfell isn't the town for Neppy.
This is purely Emma's excitement about the Shadowfell.
Yeah.
Neppy is like, we're going to go and we're going to... Neppy's very practical and purposeful, and was like, we're going to go to the Gloomspire, we're going to hunt down Cordelia, and we're going to get Kokane's gun, and then we're going to go. Maybe I'll take a moment to honor my goddess, and then, or my fallen sister, and then we're going to fucking go home. That's what we're doing.
So, I will say that moving to the Shadowfell, which is presumably dark, everybody has some kind of dark vision. Finally, we got there. Kokane has a scope. Letter's got the belt. Everyone else just has the eyes they were born with. Life is good. If
There's no better time. There's no better time.
Gets within 30 feet of us, we're set. 35 feet away, we're lost children.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting navigating through. Yeah. But thinking about the ecology of the Shadowfell and how that works, and it's gonna be
well, and it's like we have no guarantee about, we can ask Erika to try and get us as close to the Gloomspire as possible. Oh my god, my water bottle is just yelling at me.
Gotta get a kinder water bottle.
I mean, that's not why I bought it. That's definitely not why I bought it.
Drink me, Seymour.
But it's like, we don't know how close she can get us there, or if she can get us there, because she's never been.
Not as far as you know.
Yeah, she's never been. So we've got to figure out how to get there. She may have.
All we need is someone to describe it loosely to letters, and we're there.
You can't cast plane shift.
No. Once we get to the Shadowfell, she knows about the Shadowfell. Like, she'll get us to the Shadowfell. We can get to the Gloom Haven or wherever. Just a loose description will do it. That's my favorite thing about teleport, is you can teleport there on a false description.
That's terrifying. I hate that.
Oh, yeah, roll those dice.
I fucking don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
My thought is that we're going to have to go to see the portal, the primary portal to the Shadowfell, and to meet with all the folks there. What is it called? The Bonded Sombra, Tim?
Yes, the Bonded Sombra.
We'll talk to those monks.
Banded Sombra.
Banded? Okay, banded. I thought you said bonded. Yeah, no.
I guess it's bonded now.
Shut up. I do that 2 times, maybe 4 times with things, and then we've had to change them because if I've written it that way, I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I think Erika might have to use pull there to let us go through. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, we did just stop her from dying, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tim, I gotta say, the Obelix is one of my favorite creatures to throw at players. And as soon as we got there, you're like, you see a figure. I'm like, that's an Obelix. Letters doesn't know what that is. Sean is going to be real quiet for this next bit.
Yeah. I feel like I afterwards, I was like, I probably should have thrown 2 at them. Like, I probably could have made it harder.
Well, no, here's the thing, Tim. If the Obelix goes bad, the Obelix goes bad.
Like, if it had worked. And I mean, I realized I was like, would it attack Callie? And I was like, yeah, because it she just attacked it. But if it had eaten her memories, it would have been bad.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Ooblix is, you're not really worried about like dying to the Ooblix. That's not the thing. It's a thing that eats memories. Like, I recently found out that there's a creature, I'm not going to say what, but I was going through my various monster manuals, and there's something that when it attacks you, it drops your charisma score by a D4, and if it drops to 0, you're just dead. And I was like, it like does a certain amount of damage when it does the attack, but it just like, you just get yucky, and no one wants to be your friend until you die of loneliness.
Death by lack of confidence. You just you lose all your self-esteem, and then you die.
Who am I? But like,
creatures who do that, anytime they drop a stat, it can be devastating.
Yeah, and the players are like, "What the fuck?" The sorcerer, like, please, this is my life.
It's like intellect devourers, right? Like the dropping your intelligence.
Yeah.
And like, especially when you're going up, like compared with mind flayers, it's like, it's so rough.
I'm just gonna throw this at you, Tim.
I mean, we remember that, Tim. We've been there. Okay.
Yeah.
We remember.
Just put a rust demon in our path. Rust demons famously are the bane of D&D parties because they eat magic items. And just let us know that it exists and that it's somewhere on the way, and watch us walk on eggshells for 6 weeks as we hold our beloved things closely to our chest.
Oh yeah. It was even like those black puddings just like melting away on his shirt.
Yes.
And Kokanee too. And then he went really on the warpath. I put in the black pudding and I was like, one has to hit Kokanee just to take his shirt out.
Here's the thing about, it's like, ha ha ha, like, fucking Spooky is topless. Like, that's kind of funny. And then it's like, but it's acid. So, like, she's topless and skinless. Because I was thinking, like, this could be, like, a funny thing to joke about. But, like, no, that's so nasty.
So painful.
That's so bad.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I think about the, like, what it did to Neppy. The Ooblex just rendering her, just incapacitating her. If that had worked on more people.
Yeah, hypnotic pattern.
Would have been really
crazy
bad.
Spell. It's a crazy spell. Because there's no, like, if you fail to save, that's it. It just works.
Your friends just have to bail you out. And we're all like, we've played D&D before. You take out the minions first, and then you get the boss. Yeah. And Neppy's just here, just like, whoa. Like, staring at the cuttlefish.
Yeah.
And Tim, you're like, I think you bailed us out a bit. You're like, no one's hit the Ooblix. We're good. And we're like, oh, shit. We should probably hit that thing.
Well, its concentration's still up. And because that spell, none of you used that spell. So nobody knew to shake her out of it. It's like, you just shake them out of it. But if you don't know that about the spell, you're just like, oh, fuck. Like, I guess I got to kill this thing.
And I mean, like, had there been, like, I wasn't able to stop any of the, like, there was one crit, but had there been more crits, like, that could have been really bad, because we are generally a little bit inoculated against crits.
Yeah. No kidding.
Wow. Salty much, Tim?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just never get to really revel in that, that excitement that you all get. Sometimes.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's a great ability.
I know. It's great.
I always feel guilty as a DM when I crit my players, where I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry.
Oh, I think it's fun because it, like, the beauty of the crit is that, like, it so quickly changes the game. It can so quickly change the playing field, and that's fun, especially with, like, a high level party that's like, you guys handle yourselves pretty well at this point. When something like that happens, it's like, the tide can turn very quickly.
I feel like we're usually debrief, but now we're just getting through. We're a little behind the screen, but I love that there have been a couple.
There's no rules, Sean. There's no rules. It's our show.
I know. I love that there have been a couple fights where it's like, we need to bail on it. And for various reasons, we haven't been able to, because either Neppy's locked down, or it's like, we need to, like, I love, like, it sucked for Jen, but I love that we just committed to, we don't want to fight these guys. Let's just survive for a minute. Like, I'd never played a fight like that, and yeah, that's exactly what crits do. Where it's like the plan's changed, we just need to survive, or like we need to find a way to dip.
Yeah. That's very fun. Yeah.
And if ever there was an invitation for things that are too tough for us, the Shadowfell.
Yeah. Fuck.
That should be good.
Yeah.
And then I'll get you back into the plane of Ooze somehow, some way. I'll get
you don't have to force it. I want to go, Tim. I want to spend time in the plane of Ooze.
I was shocked that when Matt mentioned it, I was like, you probably see my face in the playback. I was just like, oh no, he called it. He saw right through me.
Well, because I think we had riffed so many times about the, like, all of the demi-planes and all of the ones that we didn't want to go to, and that how the plane of Ooze was, like, the highest on the list.
I specifically wrote it into the item because I was like, one day you're going to go to the plane of Ooze.
Wait, is it listed on the Gooby? Oh my God.
Item, there's the plane of ash, there's the plane of dust, plane of mud, and the plane of Ooze.
And steam.
And steam. Yeah.
All of these sound bad, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The demi-planes?
Mud and Ooze are both yucky, but, like, I don't want to go to Steamtown. I don't want to go to Dusty Land.
There was another one I was reading. About, it was, like, in an article that Wizards posted in one of their magazines or whatever, ages ago. There's, like, a plane of shale. And they had, like, it was from an old, maybe 3rd or 2nd edition. They had done, like, a module. And they had, like, a monster that accompanied it. And they had ported it over to 5e. And I was like, oh, a plane of shale. Like, why would you ever go to the plane of shale? Like, what would ever
very, very small rocks. Just small rocks. Just very small.
I mean, the most
isn't shale, rocks. Like, so I guess, small and flat?
Yeah, and like flaky, isn't it? It's like, yeah.
It's the stuff on, like, the side of Mount Doom, you know?
Yeah, once you have established that there is an elemental plane of shale, then it opens up the world to, like, the elemental plane of pink quartz. And
oh, so much healing there.
Everyone is just in harmony with everything.
Pink quartz.
As Shadow Tiger said in the chat, as long as Letters keeps doing blind teleports, the plane of Ooze is only one bad D100 roll away. So
boom. This guy gets it. And I mean, if
that's
you ever
true.
Wanted to get to those planes, Sigil is the place to do it. You can go anywhere.
Oh my God, Tim. So that's fucking. Oh my God, that's campaign. Redefining, because you said something, you're like, oh yeah, Wizards can't plane shift. If you had a party with no clerics or anything, and we're like, we teleport there's a miscast, guess who gets to live in the plane of Ooze indefinitely?
Just be stuck, and then it would just be you trying to get out of the plane of Ooze.
And then it's get out of the plane of Ooze. You have to go to the capital city, Ooze Spire.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Where it's impossible to tell the buildings from the denizens.
And meet the
because they're all cubes.
Jubilex. Oh yeah. Oozmodius
and Jubilex don't talk anymore. They're not friends.
They're falling out.
That's the key. You gotta pit them against one another. Hard to think. You can't.
Ooze wars.
My favorite thing about the plane of Ooze, I just imagine everything is a cube. It's all just different types of gelatinous cubes. Absolutely. So it's like weirdly geometrical, but everything jiggles.
It's soft physics.
It's just a Jello tower. That's all it is. It's just.
Do you think the oozes and the jellies are always at war?
Oh, 100%. That's
like
a fucking blood feud.
And the devils.
Yeah. Like, whoa, I'm not a fucking ooze. I'm a jelly. Like, please.
Oh my God.
And.
Well, I guess we'll see.
If you're fighting a jelly, just start throwing seeds into it, you've technically made it a jam.
Absolutely. That's how you destroy all jellies. That's the secret.
I say as I take notes because I need my sapphire jelly. Thank you so much.
They go from lawful evil to lawful good.
You spread it on toast.
Thank you for releasing me
from the bonds of my jellydom.
It was like you came up against like an ochre jelly, and you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna spread a little bit of you on toast."
That's terrifying.
The elemental plane of spreads is where I want to go. Where you just have fields of fucking Nutella, peanut butter, the lake of soft next to the mountain of crunchy.
Dear God.
Possibilities are endless.
I think once you introduce the elemental plane of shale, that is the Pandora's box to all the DMs out there, because everything else makes so much sense. It's wind plus this, it's wind plus that. And then ooze is also there because that's excellent.
I'm hearing that we need to release a compendium to the campaign guide that Tim and I are going to write at some point called Tim's Guide to the Elemental Planes.
It's got to have some catchy name, Like
I'm gonna pitch you, Tim. You've got the portal scribe, or what, I forget her name. Plane scribe, who's going to all the main ones, and then you've got her number one competitor who does all the offbeat like demi-planes, like whatever is less than a demi-plane. Whoever knows Latin better than I, like the microplanes, where.
Are they like, because that's something too that like I like the idea of, and I think we've touched on it in the campaign, where some planes can exist, like there's like a collision, it exists and then it's gone, like it doesn't last forever and it goes away. Like that's a neat idea as well, where there's like a clock on it. It's like you go, or there's like access to it for a brief window.
There's the eclipse in which the elemental plane of ooze and the Feywild crisscross, and that's when you get the elemental plane of jellies. And it's delicious.
So before we
got to take hot notes,
have created an entire compendium of elemental chaos, I am going to roll that intro.
Where's my...
And we're back. We're back. Okay, I'm gonna get my notes for announcements here, and Sean is gonna get ready for his art along. Sean, I love that you do this on Post-it notes, because I imagine there will be one day where you're just like, everything is covered in Post-it notes of your art alongs and all the notes that you take in our campaign.
Maybe you don't know. Well, now I'm fucking putting notes in a book like a savage. Like
Sean, I've never been more proud. Lore Club.
I know. I hate myself.
Lore Club's really proud. We're here and we're proud of you, Sean.
I'm upset.
We'll accept you with open arms, and
I don't recognize the man who stares back on the other side of the mirror anymore. I don't. He's a stranger to me. Fucking Poindexter.
I buy you one notebook, and this is what happens.
It's a very good notebook. I don't know if the fucking stream has seen it, but it's beautiful. And let me catch the light. I don't know if y'all can see that, but the letters logo is on the book, and you can touch it. Santa. And oh my goodness, letters logo. And then to get this note started, these are all M's beautifully organized notes, and these are my less organized notes, but it's all there. There's even a little foldy thing.
I'm trying. Okay.
That just reminds me to do telepathic bond on the daily.
Yeah.
It's.
I'm here for
which
you,
I still don't
represent. No, but you do mind blank every day on Callie, and that's more important.
Well, here's the thing. Let me tell you about ritual spells. They take time, and always feel so dinky to be like, we're just gonna pretend that 10 minutes pass while I do a thing. Or otherwise you just have to take 10 minutes out of the conversation, which I also hate. Like, it's yucky.
I do like how you've done it though, that they'll be like, yeah, you guys are having conversation. I'm ritual casting. Pause my ritual casting, gonna pop in here, and then I'm gonna back to my ritual casting.
I know, technically that's cheating. Ritual casting, just have to do it all in one. But I try not to, but sometimes I have really funny things to say.
Tim's a cool DM. He's a cool.
I'm cool about that. Be cool.
I feel like the jury's still out in terms of like, I think there's evidence on both sides certainly a cool DM. The question is how cool. It's not whether he's cool or not. Cool Forgive DM. Me. But how cool?
Ice cold. I'm sorry.
Well,
sometimes cooler, sometimes not so cool.
I think being a cool DM is sort of, it's not something you arrive at. It's a practice that you do week after week. Just, allowing people to do cool stuff, and I think it's cooler.
Yeah, ignoring the rules all the time.
Yeah, rules mean nothing.
Okay, so speaking of rules, a big thank you to our sponsors, Legendcraft, a nerdy woodworking company from Calgary, and Silverwing Armory, selling paper products for all your RPG needs. Check them out, and if something tickles your fancy, enter the code Blackwater for a discount at checkout, because you love discounts, and some of that gets kicked back to us to help us with all of the stuff here on stream. So thank you, and go please support these wonderful companies that we're partnered with. Love as always to our dice goddess Keisha. Check her out at fairydragon_dice. Her commissions are open, so if you want pretty dice that are completely customized to your character, just message Keisha, because she's the best. She's great. I don't know if Yanis has posted pictures of his kale dice, but we helped out with the kale dice commission for Christmas, they're so nice. Our campaign artist is the unbelievable Tiana Kovacevic, and we love her more than anything on the planet. You can find her at miss._Marston on Instagram. All of our official campaign art and beyond is done by her. All of these pretty, I think they're down there. Yeah. The pretty little headshots that you see of myself and Sean and Yanis were also done by Tiana on a whim, because I was like, can you do sketches of us? And she was like, yes, I can do that. So go get art done by her. Her commissions, she has like very limited spots every month, and she only takes a couple because she's so busy, and she's a really amazing animator working for an amazing company. So get in there while you can. Speaking of which, getting into cool places, our Discord is a wonderful place, so come hang out with us there. Type !Discord to get the link for that, but while we're streaming, come hang out here, because that's where all the cool kids are, because you love that. And a big thank you to those of you who subscribe to us. Don't forget to re-up your subscriptions, because they don't roll over every month. We also have a coffee. If you'd like to support our show above and beyond a subscription, type !Donate in the chat to head on over. We're also just so thankful to have you here, showing up week after week, telling folks about the show. And it's truly grateful. We're truly grateful, and you're so wonderful. And you know what else is wonderful? Oh, my segues are getting pretty good. Lore
Segues on fire.
Thank you so much. I'm getting really practiced at my announcements. Lore Club. Lore Club is wonderful. And you're like, what's Lore Club? And I'm like, well, Lore Club is this wonderful, beautiful group of people who just love lore and story, headed by the New Experience Network, who is one of our amazing mods, he just created a community lore project and was like, is this okay to do this? And I was like, yes, please. And I almost passed out because I was so excited. If you want to get involved in Lore Club, follow the link in chat to a Google form where you can submit your name. We have a section on our Discord where we talk about the lore documents. We talk about changes we've made. It's called Lore Elves on the Shelves, and we're very happy to be there. If you have any questions for Lore Club or Lore Keeper, me being the Lore Keeper, you can just head on over to our Discord and ask us there, or you can post in the chat here as well. We programming this week, it's here, like finally. On Wednesday, Wagadu is happening. The Wagadu Chronicles, oh my gosh. We are hosting a one-shot here on Wednesday, DM'd by the creator of the Wagadu Chronicles, Alan Cudicio, who is like a lovely human you may have seen back in October, when Sean and Yanis and myself hosted Alan, and we talked all things Wagadu and our love of like this beautiful, beautiful campaign setting that he has created that is completely 5e compatible. It's an Afrocentric society. There are no races per se, but like lineages, different classes that you can play. It's all like, it's so amazing. So it'll be myself as the like least impressive person on that list. B. Dave Walters, TJ Storm, Alicia Marie, and Brianna DeCosta of Utahime Cosplay. Like, holy crap. What a cast. And we're so excited for you to come hang out with us while we are transported and taken to the wonderful world of Wagadu by the creator himself. It's going to be a really, really special time. Keep your eyes posted on Twitter. They're posting art everywhere. We've got headshots created by a fan in the Wagadu Discord that were just, she was like, can I make art of this? And I was like, yes, please. Art, like campaign art officially by Tiana. Like, holy crap, please come hang out with us. It's going to be a wild ride. The VOD will be up available here on Twitch, but please come hang out with us. It's going to be a wicked good time. And that's at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday, March 24th. And that's it. And that's all I have for announcements. John?
Got some winners. I've got some winners. I feel great about. I don't know what I did last week, but this week, big winning. So I would like to submit, because we did establish the Oooby art competition.
Yes.
So I would like to. This is my contribution. It's not the full body, but it's just a portrait of Oooby, the long goblin.
Oooby.
And Oooby.
No, this is
Oooby is her cousin.
This is Oooby, her cousin, who has
Another
a neck just as thick as her. That was my favorite part of her. And then also, just while I was at it, I did start with this, and I realized it was perfect, and I had nothing to add. I would also like to add the first ever canon artistic depiction of Oozemodius, the primordial ooze god. This is Oozemodius.
I really like his mouth. Really like that. Far away.
This is what he looks like.
He's precious.
Yeah, Oozemodius. Absolutely.
This is Oozemodius. That's Oooby, the other long goblin.
So many. Too many long goblins, arguably.
It's wild to me that I'm a part of this show where we keep track of lore that I can't. I'm historically bad with names, and all my friends will tell you that. It's one of my defining features. It's wild to me. I'm like, yeah, of course I spelled it wrong. That's what I do.
But I mean, you have started taking notes for yourself. You asked me before session. You were like, Em, what session is this? I need to write this in my book. And my heart shone.
Well, I'm trying.
You're doing so
But
good.
I 100%, I'm gonna argue. I'm gonna be real generous to myself, and I'm gonna say about 26% of all the names that I'm writing in my book are wrong. It's gonna be me mishearing the name and then just committing that, like, oh yeah, that person is who that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had to start confirming spelling with Tim because
I'm not even fucking with that.
Spelling is not good. Carlson.
I think it is good. Okay, chat. Just humor me. How would you spell the word Illyrian?
ELIR. Oh no, I've lost it. I can't spell it out in my head out loud. Yeah, it's chat.
I mean, they probably have already seen it spelled, so they'll probably go with what Emma did.
Thank you. Thank you, Lore Club. Back me up.
Fine. It's fine. She spells it with an AE. I've always spelled it with an I. Illyrian, not Alien.
That's the AE is very aesthetically pleasing, Tim. It's very.
I disagree. That's fine.
It really does kind of imply an Illyrian if it's AI.
It's AE.
Like Eileen.
Oh.
Wait, what?
I spell it.
Oh,
I spell
Illyrian.
See, you literally spelled it a second ago, and I just made up a different spelling.
A compromise. AI.
Sometimes
It's not a compromise if it's just wrong, Tim. It's just different and worse.
Sometimes Tim will look over while I'm lore keeping, and he'll look over at my notes. He'd be like, "You spelled it like that?" And I'll be like, "Yeah," and he'll just be like, "Oh," and he's like, won't correct me. He'll just like scoff and then go back to whatever he's doing. Like I'll
fix it in the campaign, guys.
The official source.
Speaking of history, Tim, are you ready?
I'm ready. You do it. You do the rundowns.
I know, but do you have your notes ready? Is what I'm asking.
I have my notes ready.
Good. So we are here tonight talking about the Earth Elemental Plane Arc Part 2. So we talked about Part 1 last week. So last week we saw the party head into the Earth Elemental Plane for the first time, and trying to navigate that, fighting a young cave dragon. We got we went to the fighting pits of the Scar. We won back Kern and Mira. We managed to, rest for the night, and we meet a very charming very handsome minotaur the next morning who tries to offer us a job with a up-and-coming owner, I suppose, in the Scar named Baba. And then we portrayed to Letters that we had to leave. And he was like, oh, when then we said, do you want to come? We have to go do this mission. So, and he said yes. So then
that sounds great.
Yeah, we go to Jungle's Conch, and we're about to plan a meeting to try and figure out how we're going to go break into one of these mines to go get Gorge out. Yeah, Krager's friend, because we owed him one. And then we got hit by a bunch of giants throwing boulders at us, breaking into the bar. And that is where we pick off with session 29, called A Rock and a Hard Place, on June 2nd of 2019. Now, there's a lot of rock, dust, and gravel metaphors in these arcs. Did you want me to start it? Do you want to go, Tim?
You go.
Okay.
This is your jam. I'm just along for the ride. This is great.
Well, because I think, Sean, you weren't here for a couple of these.
No, I was here for all of this.
Were you here for all of this?
I was. This was like.
Oh, this was
my second. I wasn't gonna miss the second session. The Baron von Kron situation. That was a lot of numbers having a good time. But this was Letters, like just running with the bulls. Like, let's do it. Deep end.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
So please, both of you, please feel free to jump in at any time. Sean, with whatever you remember too. So we keep running through the streets, and these giants are throwing boulders at us. Kokanee and Letters just get absolutely smoked in the middle of the street, but we manage to keep going. And we are ushered into safety by a giant named Kargan, who we had met before, and he's a smaller desert giant with a few petch who work for him. And Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but his petch aren't slaves. He pays them, right?
He pays them.
He pays them. So, which made him definitely different. He manages to distract the other giants, and we take shelter inside his hut. And up to this point, and I think this was like half of the party was trying to spur on a petch rebellion. There were like these like half-assed attempts to spur on a petch rebellion, and half of the party was like, no, we just got to get in and get out. We can't go causing too much ruckus here. We're here to get one petch. We are not in a place where we can upend an entire system. And then everyone else was like, no, we're going to start talking to the petch. We're going to start like rousting rebellion, talking about Groom Bar and shit. So Kargan had heard about this and confronts us and says, how can you assure Groombar's return? You've been talking about this. How do you know? And we're all like, he's talking mainly to Kokanee at this point. And Kokanee's like, I can't. And he's like, well, I was here when Groombar left. He says he's several mountains old. And we're like, okay. You've been here a long time. And he says that Groombar left the Scar a very long time ago to seek his sister, who we know to be Sean. Who is Groombar's
I know their
sister.
names. I feel like it would be Bugatti, get in my car. Screaming in my car. Don't need a tissue for my car. Wait.
Oh my
God.
Larynx.
Wait. No. Look, if you just ask me which one was which, that's a different thing.
Yes.
This is a whole different context. You're asking me to apply knowledge on top of applied knowledge. Because we're in Groombar's car. It's a Bugatti. He's hitting the road, and where is he driving to? His sister's place.
Yes.
Bugatti's not a car, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. It's fantasy, Tim. You should have been here for the first one. Groombar, get in my car. It's a Bugatti. I'm hitting the road.
So there's two of them.
Wait. It's a Bugatti, the Viper of the Sky.
Oh no,
that's right.
I'm thinking of a Ducati.
Ducati's a bike. Bugatti's a car.
Tim, we've already been through this.
But you weren't here. Yay!
Dad.
Come get in my car. So Tim, the way it goes,
I'm familiar with the mnemonic.
No. I think you need to know. It's a Bugatti, the Viper of the. All right.
So yes, he's gone to seek his sister Akadi. And once Groombar left, the Tao rose up and took power over the giants as the more ruling class within the city and enslaved all the Petch. The Petch were not slaves when Groombar was around. The giants then managed to rise up and reclaim some of the power, but now there's this big power struggle between the Tao and the giants, and that's why the city's kind of divided in two, with the Tao side and then the giant side. I'm on the money with that, right, Tim?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, good.
Nailed it.
So then we learn a little bit about Melek's compound on the western side of the city, which are mining camps where the Petch live, but they're guarded and watched by a head guard whose name is Nas, and he has a sand spider that likes to eat Petch. So we were like, no, thank you. No, that's bad. And then Kargan starts speaking to Kokanee directly and is like, he puts his hands on Kokanee's shoulders and starts talking to him about how he needs to be careful with what they're talking about. And if he's promised that Groombar is going to return, he takes the shard of Groombar, which Kokanee is wearing at this point, and says, this will weigh on you until you make good on your promise that Groombar will return. And I think I remember sitting in the circle and just like watching the color drain from Matt, being like, oh fuck, what have we done? And it's not religious magic of any times. It's not like magic linked to a deity, but it's like pact magic of some kind. And so now Kokanee is bound to try and fulfill this. And he literally feels the shard of Groombar way heavier on him, which I thought was intense. And we were like, oh shit, we are not from here. We can't go.
You just go around promising rebellion. Like, yeah, it's gonna be great, you guys. And then just fucking bounce.
And lots of rebellions. You're gonna have a great time.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna turn out great for you guys.
They're literal giants. You've got this.
Once the coast is clear, we thank Kargan for harboring us, and then we sneak back to the Slab, which is the inn that we were staying at, and we managed to get Kern and Mira out, and we plane shift to Kameas with them, as well as Letters, taking him to the material plane for the first time, and Letters is pretty much in awe. Sean, tell me what it was like for you playing Letters, like going to this place that he never thought he'd ever be before.
Oh, not even never thought he'd even be, but couldn't even conceive of. Like, I remember it was just, what was really fun is just like, all the things that I like plants and stuff. You'd be like, what is this weird green rock? It sucks. Like, it just breaks. That's dumb. And then, like, I think fucking him and Finnan made friends with like a pack of street dogs, and we're like, Kamea, can we keep them?
Found a pack of street dogs and just started bringing them home with you.
That sounds like friends. I don't know if you've ever made friends with street dogs, Emma, but that's how it goes.
Absolutely.
If they're following you, you're part of the pack. You're friends. I saw the ocean. I mean, Letters saw the ocean, which is very disconcerting. It's like a big shiny rock that just doesn't stay still. Soft. That's fucking weird. Yeah, it's this big soft rock.
Like, you experienced water for the first time.
Yeah. Weird. It's like spider milk, but way thinner, not nearly as viscous. It's weird. Liked the sand though. The sand next to all that water. Big fan. But dogs are great. Like, dogs are cool. I think there was a drum circle on the beach. I feel like there was a drum circle. That was where it started. Yeah. And I said, drum circles, this is great. I live for this now.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And you met Duomo.
And we met Duomo, possibly the most important NPC we've come across.
Yes.
Duomo, white guy dreads, like sheep pants. Yeah. Duomo.
Too leathery. Like,
such a clear image in my head of Duomo.
Never a shirt.
Clearest NPC.
Maybe a vest, but
leathery
rarely.
Skin.
Oh,
leathery
yeah.
Skin.
Sun-kissed.
Puka shells. Lots of puka
absolutely. Lots of shells, just in general.
Spends a lot of time on the beach. You find a lot of shells.
Yeah. So Letters and Finnan take the night to go explore Wolfreen. And we send to King Evard to let him know that Kern and Mira are safe. King Evard being Mira's father, the king of Svel-En, and we'll get them home as soon as we can. He sounds very pained. He sounds like he's in a lot of pain, but he's grateful that they're alive, and he says thank you. That night, Yana asks Neppy to scry on her mother again, and we see her in the bright keep polishing a shiny silver tray that's almost chrome. She has short cropped hair, and that looks like it's been cut short. She's wearing ragged clothes, and they're somewhat shouting at her, but Neppy can't make out what they're saying. So then after this, Kokanee tells Neppy that he needs Torin's spear. That Torin had left a book for Kokanee and like instructions for Kokanee about what to do after his death with respect to like the stuff around the religion of Arathis, and he was like, Neppy, I need Torin's spear. Can you come with me? And I was like, sure. I was like, okay. So we go to the gravesite, and Kokanee digs Torin up. And Neppy still has the skulls of Zakis and Sindril at this point. And while Kokanee is just digging, she just like lights little funeral pyres and just burns the skin off of them, because we all know that that's what Neppy does. She had to do that with the other two, so she was like, well, I'll keep you company. You can dig our dead friend up, and I'll do this creepy shit over here.
It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. I'm not weird.
We're not weird.
Everyone does this back at home.
Yeah,
this is
completely.
I know
normal.
we just started dating, but I'm just gonna boil this skull.
So, do you have any hobbies? Because I'm
gonna dig up
skull boiling.
I'm gonna dig up our dead friend who's been dead for 4 days, and my girlfriend is gonna sit over here and get the skin off of some skulls.
Cook some skin.
Yeah. Creepy. So like Neppy is like just like praying and just doing some prayer rituals.
So, I just have to say that one of the things you can get in Juneau, Alaska is organic salmon skin, where they take the skin off the salmon and they just sell it as dog treats, which is awful because then the dog breath just smells like fish breath. But in a reality in which you're like, oh, we got to remove this skin, and there's packs of wild dogs running around with fin in letters, I love the idea of Neppy being like, oh, we got that off, and just like throwing it to like a fucking basset hound, just like, and just eating villain skin.
You have a taste for villains.
It's important you install a taste for villains when they're puppies, and then they're great companion animals.
Oh, yeah. The small one. She's sad.
The small one is so sad.
So sad.
The small one is so sad this evening.
I'll be right back.
That's rough.
Yeah, sometimes the small one is upset. She doesn't like the story we're telling, or she can't sleep properly. So, the small one. So while this is happening, Kokanee reaches the casket, and we open it, and Torin is still there, still dead. He's about 4 days dead at this point. And so they take the spear, they close the casket, and take a moment to talk about their friend before he starts filling in the earth again. And before he starts filling in the earth, Neppy goes, I'm going to put this offer back on the table. I've got 5 days before he is beyond my grasp with Raised Dead, because I had access to Raised Dead at this point. And she said to Kokanee, she's like, you're his high priest. I am not the person who controls this. I know he told me to let him stay there, but I trust your judgment. If you think that he should come back, you've got 5 days, and I can do that for you. I will pray to her grace, and I can see if I can do that for you. So they talk about this a bit more, and they end up deciding against it collectively, not wanting to take Torin away from his family, or even force him to make the choice to do so. And I think this was maybe me, as Emma, giving the offer to Adam to be like, do you want Torin back? Because you're really sad. We're all really sad. Do you want Torin back? And then he was like, no. Because I had made the offer to Adam to be like, I know you said that you didn't want Torin to come back to me as Torin. But if you're having buyer's remorse, please let me know and I can do this for you. So Adam had said no, so Kokanee and Neppy fill in the grave, and then Kokanee's like, "Do you want to go for a swim?" And Neppy's like, "Yeah, let's go swimming." So then they go skinny dipping in the ocean, and that was the end of their evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I noticed we haven't talked about Callie's evening, but this is back in the Tim. Can I? Oh. Okay, I'm ahead of myself.
No, you go. You go.
Okay.
You go.
So, as Neppy and Kokanee have gone down to the beach to go skinny dipping, later that night, back at Kamea's house, in the very, very small hours of the morning, Callie gets another nightmare of the Feywild, and she sees that part of the Feywild is growing, gnarled, and desiccated. She dreams of it smells like rot and sulfur and everything just cracking and breaking apart. And she wakes up, and so does Kamea. And she says, "Kamea, I have to go track down the Baron. There's more that's happening. This is very intense. Something very bad is happening with the Feywild. I have to go." And she hadn't really told Kamea about her history at that point. She hadn't really told any of us about her history. She says, Taya, my past girlfriend, introduced me to Melora, but that was a long time ago, and the Baron stole everything from me. So I have to go track him down. That's my oath, to go track him down. So the next morning, Callie takes Kokanee and Neppy back to Torin's grave. So we're back there again, freshly dug up.
Are you sure you don't want to come back, dude?
We're there.
We haven't put him back in the ground yet. The dogs have been at him. He looks a little rough, but he's still got a skull, so we can still make this happen.
And so she tells us that she was part of an order of paladins who followed Melora, and that she fell in love with one of the other paladins, Taya, and Baron von Kron, who was a fiend, killed them all, and Callie was the only one who lived, and she wants revenge. And we're like, of course. We're here with you. We will happily do this. We're going to the Scar today, but when we get back, we'll go.
You heard it here first, folks. Blackwater is pro-vengeance. It's not about justice. It is about vengeance.
At that point, it was about vengeance. So we're kind of meandering through the day, kind of getting some things done, and Finnan asks Neppy about the gods, about Pelor specifically, and about the symptoms he's been experiencing: headaches, sudden blindness, a voice encouraging him to fight in Croden's Cross.
Are you suffering from Pelor?
Are you suffering from Pelor psychosis? And so Neppy is like, you should probably pray. You should for sure pray to Pelor and see what happens. Because if you've been having all these moments where you're experiencing these things when you're around other gods, you should probably try praying to the one who likely gives you your power. This might be comforting for you. And of course, she says it much nicer than that, but she's like, please pray. Just do that. So she prays, or she helps him set up a prayer space, and he reaches out, and he hears his will clearly for the first time. Dear Dave, who we now know as Cadmiel, and his will says that Finnan is a vassal to please the Dawnfather and him. And Finnan says he'll do what he can, and his will says, no, you'll do what I tell you to. So starts setting up not such a great relationship. Neppy checks in with Kokanee about what happened with the shard of Roombar. Feels heavier. He's like, it does actually weigh heavier, and she can detect some of the magic on it. And we decide to have Kern and Mira stay in the cellar at Kamea's, because if Mira will be killed if she's found, likely, and Kamea would likely be charged with treason at this point, because Mira is still wanted for the death. Yeah, Mira is still essentially wanted for the death of the queen at this point. So we have Kreger plane shift us back into the mine using the talisman, and we stealth our way in to find Gorge. That was our plan, and we'll have Kokan use the shard of Grimbar to get us back out, I'll go. And then we plane shift into the mine. And Tim, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Oh,
I'm going to go deal with the small one.
I remember the mine very well. It was a whole lot of like, ooh, let's do some sneaking. Let's get past this. Let's get past that. And for the most part, we did pretty well.
You did pretty well.
Like,
and then,
it was...
she has something in here about, and I don't remember this, but I think what happened was you got in and you kind of got the jump on them. Kreger's skin started to solidify slightly as if he's becoming more rock-like. I think he had seen a basilisk because there was basilisk.
Yeah. Because we had those like earth genasi and the basilisks were the beasts of burden.
Yeah.
And oh my god.
And
we just had
silence. And you had a silent fight.
Yeah. Because we wanted to be sneaky. So because we like found these guards and their basilisks and we just beat them up in perfect silence. And it was a good time.
It was a very clutch move. It was a very, very clutch move. And there was, I mean, we'll get into this because then you met all the Petch and they told you about the Mother of Chasms. And there was a thing like mechanically I had planned. I was like, during that fight, like if it's too loud, the Mother of Chasms will be alerted. And like they'll have to deal with that, but because it was silent, none of that happened. So it was like it was this perfect thing of like, oh, I guess they won't have to deal with her, and it was like you'll just sidestep that whole thing.
That's so wild because what actually ended up happening. Okay, just remember the Mother of Chasms because
we'll come back.
We go down. We're like, hey, we're here to get Gorge. And the fucking, I forget the leader's name, but basically the voice of the Petch.
She has it in here that their name was Shale, which is ridiculous because one of the people you meet a little bit later is Shale. So I was like, oh.
People can have multiple names, Tim.
I know, it's true.
People have
rock. It never happens in movies, though. Nobody has the same name in a movie. But you're right. It's Shale. And
the point is,
use that name later.
Shale Prime was like, here's the deal. You can take Gorge out of here, but they're going to notice and they're going to punish the lot of us.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, that's what we have to do. And there was a whole...
I don't think it was just Gorge. It was some of the party wanted to free everybody. They were like, we want to get all the Petch out. And it was because our fucking teleport thing... okay, M can come back because we're going to want the whole team in on this one.
Hello.
We're talking about the Petch dilemma. We can teleport 9 people or whatever, and we have like 7 already here. Yes. We got like the team, we've got Gorge, and it's like, well, we might as well take as many as we can. And Shale, the leader of the Petch, was like, you take people, we all get punished. Yes. And we're like, we want to take all of you. It's like, you can't, you don't have the means. And so there was kind of 2 camps.
Yes.
Whereas like if we can't take all of them, we don't take any of them. I think that was Finnan was really leading that charge. I think someone was like, let's just take Gorge and go.
Yeah.
Because that's the deal.
A lot of us had said, like, let's, like Kreger came here to get Gorge. He's the only one that we're here for. And all the other Petch were kind of like, well, now you've come in here, fucked this up for us. And now you're just going to leave? Like, we're going to all get in shit for this. So that's when, I don't know if you've talked about the plan to frame Baba.
No.
Well, this is where we get to this, but I will talk about the third philosophy.
Yes.
And this is a part of Letters' character growth that we don't really talk about because it didn't really come up. But Letters was a product of the Scar and thus had a very dim view of the value of Petch because they're just kind of everywhere. And so he's like, y'all want to save Petch? Sure, okay. Like they're in, and there was the joke that they were indistinguishable. You couldn't tell them apart. They all sounded the same.
Only
he's like, whatever.
They all look the same. They all sound,
yeah. It's like, okay, here's the deal. Like, if we have a spot for 1 extra, and I was like, Letters like, hey, Petch, who wants to bail? I'm from here and I'm leaving. And one of them was like, and that would later become Clack.
Yes.
But we'll circle back to that. So yeah, the plan was we're gonna frame Baba. Yes. Letters is person because it's like I'm burning that bridge anyways. Baba hates Zamrod, who owns this mine. So Letters burns into the wall like the symbol of Baba and basically a big fuck you. I took your Petch.
Baba sends her regards.
And then we're like, all right, here's the deal. We're taking Gorge and this extra guy that we have room for. Everyone hold your hands. We're
and they were
going.
kind of pissed about it. The Shale was like I can't believe you're leaving, sort of thing.
Yeah. And
we're like, we don't listen to Pet.
To the extra one.
Yeah.
Yeah. To Clack.
And I believe it was like a Macaulay Culkin-esque looking Petch comes up.
Well, I reached out to the one who looked the most like Macaulay Culkin, which was funny to me because they're all indistinguishable. But there was some Culkinism about this one Petch that spoke to letters, who also doesn't know what Macaulay Culkin looks like because he's from a different universe.
Absolutely.
But that was what he was looking for in a Petch, and boy did he find it with Clack.
Boy did he. Boy howdy. Tim, you're gonna have to go ahead, letters.
Just for the record, it's not Home Alone Macaulay Culkin. It's like current 40-year-old Macaulay Culkin.
Okay, we're well aware. Older than the Dawn War. Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin, if you're watching our show, thank you.
Oh man, come and guest with us sometime.
Yeah, please come hang out.
If you're watching, fucking reach out.
Tim, you're gonna have to talk a little bit about what happened, because at some point Finnan took the talisman from Kreger. So I'll let you continue and I can jump in whenever.
And was it Finnan or was it Kokanee?
It was Kokanee had the talisman.
Kokanee had the talisman.
No, because
yes.
Kreger had to get the talisman to get us there, and we were going to use the shard of Groombar, which was around Kokanee's net, to bring us back. That's what it is. Yes, because that's why what happened with Kokanee.
The ticket out of here was on Kokanee.
Yes,
that's the important thing.
That's the important thing. So, at some point, Finnan took the talisman from Kreger.
Right. So he had the Chaos Talisman, but it had already been spent. So it was like,
and none of us knew. We all just assumed Kreger had it.
Yeah. And then so you guys got Gorge. You now have this new Petch. You can't leave anybody behind. And you all hold hands because that's what you have to do for plane shift.
Yes.
And Kokanee is going to use the Shard of Grumbar to get you back to the material plane, because that one just goes between the elemental plane of Earth and the material plane. And so they're all standing there, and then Finnan, at the last second, he was like, just before it goes off, I break my hands. And I was like, okay. And then I realized, I was like, as he said it, I was like, wait a second. And I looked up the spell, and you have to be holding hands. So if you break the circle, then only the person who cast the spell goes. So I realized, I was like, oh shit. Now they're stuck here, because Kokanee just went pop and was gone. And the rest of them were like, oh. And then all of a sudden you were all stuck there for the next until the thing
way out.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Remember that Mother of Caverns where all the pets were like, oh, don't go down there.
I think we need to talk about what happened first. Though before we get to that, we need to talk
about the emotional fallout.
Yes. And that was where we almost ended the session. People were mad. That was, and we talked about this, the Gravelies being one of the most bloody moments that we've ever had. People were mad. I was mad.
At Adam.
For the record, Adam and Finnan were like, Finnan's whole thing is, I need to help people. I need to help innocents. And who could be more innocent than Petch? Like, we love our little Rocky lads. Yeah. Like, we love all of them. And he was like, if we can't take all of them, we're not leaving. That was his stance. Yeah. And as we've seen, when Finnan takes a hard stance, he sticks to it.
Yeah.
And thus we were all mad.
And use the Chaos Talisman to bring more Petch back.
Yes.
And he wound up stranding them all there.
Yes. Neppy scolded him very harshly and called him a petulant child.
Pardon the pun.
And was very, very upset.
Yeah. Yeah, people were pissed. People were pissed that it was like all of a sudden. And the best was, because the session ended shortly after. That might have been the... I don't think that was quite the cliffhanger, but it was, because there was a bit more.
Yeah.
But I remember afterwards, Matt that week was like, I guess can I play someone else? Like, absolutely, dude. Until they get back.
So Tim, you can keep going with the notes that are there. Go for it.
I should just remember all this. But so yeah, Kokanee's sent back, and they are pissed off at Finn, and like both Finn and Adam did not realize that that's how the spell worked. And so it was like, oh no. And I also remember thinking like that new Petch who was just like, bye. And they're like, come, like you said you were gonna go. And you guys like now have to stay here for the night, essentially, after having dispatched these guards, and you have to figure out what to do and where to hide.
Because they have the guard rotations. So we've left this big mess, and our plan was like blip, blip, out, smash and grab, easy. But now we have to be here for 8 hours.
And the only place to hide is down in
the one place the guards don't check? The Mother of Caverns.
So the Mother of Chasms lived down at the bottom of this narrow shaft that they dug, and they had discovered it. And there was a bunch of really rare gems in this cavern that she lived in. But the hole was just big enough for Petch to go down. Like the giants didn't go down there. And Petch often didn't come back. It was sort of seen as like a death sentence if you were on that duty. And so it was like you had to go down and be essentially silent. So you guys had nowhere else to hide but down in this unknown pit.
Yeah. And so Neppy sends to Kokanee to make sure he's alive at this point. And she's like, okay, you're alive. Good. Please don't do anything stupid. Stay there. Don't come back for us. We will be okay. I will keep them safe. We will be back after a rest. Stay there. And don't do anything rash.
We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to the don't do anything rash. And so the Petch essentially agree to our plan because it saves their asses as much as us at that point.
Yeah.
The plan being like, Baba's boys broke in here and caused a ruckus.
Yeah.
Stole a Petch.
Stole a Petch to say fuck you, and then
killed
torched
the
the plates and then left.
Yeah.
And because we wouldn't be there because we would be in the Mother of Chasms pit. Yeah.
Hidden.
Which brings us to the
end that session.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that happened that week, before when I was talking to Matthew before the session started, he wanted to cast Warding Bond on Neppy, but obviously he's interplanar, so I was like just humor me, roll. I think it was
a D20.
It was a D20, but I think it was maybe religion, or because he was essentially pleading with the Rathis to do this. So I think it was maybe religion. And he rolled a natural 20. He was like, he came over and rolled it, and like when we were standing there, and it was like, oh shit. Okay.
And I remembered sitting like, because Matt and I used to sit like kind of, I used to sit like over there, and Matt would sit kind of in the middle of the living room. And I remember that he like rolled it. He and Tim were chatting, and he like got up and looked. He was like, oh. And I was like, what? And he's like, nothing.
But I was like, there's a cost with this. I was like, you can't just cast Warding Bond through the planes. It's like there is a cost associated with this. So if you do it, you don't take half the damage, you take double the damage. He's like, yeah, okay. And so he played Clack, who we had come up with over the week.
And I can take it from there if you want.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, cool. So that starts us off at session 31, The Mother of Chasms, June 23rd, 2019. So we pick up just as we're getting ready to descend into the Mother of Chasms pit. And we learn there's lots of gems down there, and she makes the earth move, is what the Petch tell us at this point. And we're like, fuck. She said, and they say she also makes it so dark that nobody can see, and there are often smaller beings such as her down there. And we're like, okay, sure. Clack offers to come with us, and he uses a bit of magic, And apparently in the scar, Clack is a giant soul sorcerer. It's like a level 9 giant soul sorcerer, because I think we were level 9 at this point. So we take a short rest to get our bearings, because they're like, you have a couple hours before the guard changeover happens. And Neppy goes up to Finnan and is like, I was rude to you before. She doesn't apologize. She's just like acknowledges it. I was rude to you. And he apologizes like profusely and confesses that he didn't understand the magic before he did it. And Neppy's like, voice your plans before you do them.
Use your words.
Because we can help you.
Tell us where you're going, okay?
Please
just call us when you're ready to get we'll give you a ride. Doesn't matter what time of night.
Doesn't matter what state you're in. No, but like, she's basically like, the burden is more easily bared if you tell us this is what it means to be like traveling as a party. I know you've never worked in a party before, but this is what it's like. We look out for each other. And he's like, yeah, I guess I'm just used to doing things by myself. And I was like, I understand what that's like as well. But you gotta rely on people, and you gotta tell us what you're doing. So she talks to him a bit about Torin as well, because he kind of idolizes Torin at this point. And she's like, here, take these. She gives him, because before Torin had gone into combat, he gave Neppy the last of his worldly possessions, which were a handful of Caraxian coins, which look like little cogs. So Neppy takes a ribbon out of her hair and essentially threads the cogs onto them. And because Finnan still has the talisman at this point, and she puts the coins as a necklace in one hand and puts two hands up. And he just takes the talisman off and just gives it back to her. And she's like, please have these. They were Torin's. This one will feel better for you. And he's like, I don't want to wear the amulet maybe ever again. And we were like, okay. That's fine for now. I think we gave it to Yana at that point.
I love the Chaos Amulet.
Oh, it's great.
Because there's no hard and fast rules about how it works. And some players just really embrace the chaos a lot faster than others. Yeah. And that's a delight to me. Letters is also not allowed to wear the talisman.
Callie's my favorite. Whenever Callie has the talisman, she takes it so seriously. I love it.
And she she never wants to give it away. She'll fly away from you. It's like a toddler with something they're not supposed to have, or like a dog that has chocolate in its mouth. It's like, what do you have in your mouth?
Yeah. So we make after this short rest, we kind of get our bearings, get some of our HP back, and we start descending down into the pit. We hear this humming noise that we're not quite sure what it is, and we smell this rotting, putrid stench emanating from the bottom of the pit. Neppy is the last one coming down. Finnan, I think, was first, because he can see through magical darkness. So he was the first one down to take a peek. And then I think a couple other people were in the row, but I know Neppy was the last one on the list. So they see down.
I think you guys had to make a stealth check on the way down, too.
We did. Yeah. Yes, and it was okay.
Not great.
Blackwater style.
True Blackwater style. We didn't own our loudness at that point. We still tried to be stealthy. And I think that was even with Pass Without a Trace. It was not great. So we see that the walls are covered in these shiny, shimmering gems, and there's flying beetles. And the fight just kicks off. Tim's like, and you all roll initiative. And we're still climbing down the ladder. And there's just shining beetles on the walls. And we're like, okay, something else is going to happen. All right. So the beetles try and make us nauseous and then try and swarm around the cave. There's also lair actions. And then just as Neppy starts finishing her descent down the ladder, the Mother of Chasms, which is an adult cave dragon, bursts through the wall behind her. Literally right in the middle of the ladder. I was like, lit. Okay, cool. Just your cleric here at the back. And it's a hell of a fight. I think
Poison breath,
yeah. Neppy, but the first 3 times that Neppy gets hit, there is a wave of divine blue energy that seems to radiate off her, and she only takes half damage. And Tim was like, yep, it's this, but you take this. And I didn't know anything about what Matt had done at this point, or what Kokanee had done. So, like, I had no idea. And so Matt is simultaneously keeping track of both Kokanee's hit points and Clack's abilities at this point. So Clack almost dies. Yana almost dies. They both go unconscious. Callie's down to like 5 hit points. But we managed to make it through. And I'm pretty sure the only reason we made it through is because I didn't get fucking wrecked by a dragon, because I was only taking half damage, with Letters getting the kill on that one.
It was very satisfying to get the kill, because it was a very flashy kill, because I had cast a Letters favorite.
Yeah.
It was literally Letters' whole thing. It was Wall of Fire followed by Steel Wind Strike.
Yes.
Which, so like, just, it was cinematically, I'd like donut around the fucking thing, and then like appeared on top of it, like just headbutting it to death. And it felt good to have your character's backstory be like, yeah, I'm someone who fights for a living and does it really flashily, and then to actually mechanically deliver a flashy kill was satisfying.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Absolutely. So Letters gets the kill, and meanwhile, Matt has like been communicating with Tim, and we were like not sure what was happening, but we're all like, yeah, like we got the kill. This is great. Neppy skins the dragon and we get a ton of diamonds and gems. We're like, okay, we're gonna spend like, I was like, I need to rest because I need to recharge, or someone needs to rest because they need to recharge the talisman. So we'll go in shifts essentially, because like we might have to fight guards that come down here if they heard any of this ruckus. So we get a shit ton of diamonds and gems from the cave. We also find 5 cave dragon eggs, and we destroy 4 of them. One is impervious to us, and its shell is too hard to be cracked in its current stage of growth, which was the cave dragon that we fought in the second big earth elemental plane fight when we went to rescue Clack from Melek, Baba, and Zamoran.
And it got away again, I think.
And it got away again. Yes, it did.
Ultimate big bad. That one dragon.
That one.
The world eater.
Ugh, no thank you.
Aww.
And Tim was just like, too many legs. He was like, this dragon
Daddy of caverns.
Cavern daddy. So
Daddy of caverns. Oh, I like that.
So people start resting. We start going down. Like, Neppy has almost no magic left, and all she has left is 1 3rd-level spell slot. And so she's like, Callie, you've got a slot left for Revivify? Yes? Good. And Callie was like, yeah, I got it. And I was like, and Neppy was like, great. I'm going to send to Kokanee and tell him we're okay. And then the sending doesn't go through. And I like, the noise that came out of me was like a not okay noise. So Neppy almost like collapses against the wall when she like puts 2 and 2 together. I thought Kokanee was dead. I thought he was dead.
But it was just interplanar interference?
Well, she realizes what he did. She has a sense that I asked him, I was like, can I put 2 and 2 together? Because like I, as Emma, was starting to piece it together, but I wasn't totally sure. And she's like, Tim was like, you think he used some form of magic to keep Neppy safe across the plains, to take some of the damage for you? And I was like, oh my God, he's dead. Like, he's just dead across the plains. Maybe he did this by himself. There was nobody around to heal him. He couldn't heal himself. He's dead. I was like, I'm going to go home. Neppy's going to go home and find the person she loves just fucking dead. So she keeps this to herself because she doesn't have any more magic to send to anybody. And nobody has sending at that point. She's the only one who can communicate, and that was her last spell slot. So she's like, I'm not going to try and alarm the group. I'm just going to keep this because we just need to get home. I'm going to just try and sleep so that we can get home in the morning. Finnan stays up all night, mining gems and diamonds and with the help of like Gorge and Gregor and Clack to get as many of the diamonds as we can. We managed pulling in like a lot of diamonds. I think it was almost 1,000 gold pieces worth of diamonds and gems.
Petch do good work.
They do do good work. So the next morning, we rouse ourselves and we hear commotion coming down the ladder. And we're like, we gotta fucking get out of here. We're going right now. So we like plane shift and we get the fuck out. We make it back into Kamea's yard and Neppy just fucking takes off. Like Neppy is just running towards the house. Kamea opens the door and she just like barrels past Kamea. She's like, where is he? So she runs upstairs. Kokanee is barely alive. He's on death's door at this point. And he had rolled the natural 20, asking for Arathis' help to have Neppy only take half damage, and that's now why he takes double damage from.
Yeah, he took full damage.
Yes.
That's what it was. It wasn't double damage at the time, but it's because he went unconscious.
Yes.
That he now is vulnerable to poison damage because of all he took all that poison damage
for
through the planes, and it made him vulnerable to poison.
Yeah, and the only reason he didn't die was because
Kamea, he said to me too, he was like, I would also ask Kamea to be with me just in case.
Smart move.
Like, okay. Yep.
Because he would have died.
She saved his life. Yeah.
Kamea saved his life. So when he gets back, he's got 2 points of exhaustion. He essentially is like barely alive. So she heals him and removes the exhaustion. And like, we're just like, we're taking the day. We're taking the day. We just got back. I was like, we're all taking the day. So Neppy tells Kokanee about that eventually. And he's frustrated and angry at Finnan, that Finnan put the only people he loves at risk, especially Neppy.
Oh, yeah, and they were just fighting in the street like 2 days ago.
Like a day and a half, yeah. Like 2 days before.
Throwing hands
in the street. And so Neppy is just basically like, I know. Give him time. He'll come, like, you both will come around. It will be okay. He didn't know what he was doing. He knows the error of his ways. And I'm never going to be far from you like that ever again. Ever. And they take a day and a half off. Because we're just like, Neppy's like, nope, we're not doing anything for a fucking day and a half.
Clear the schedule.
Clear the schedule. And that was it. And I think at the end of that session, we vowed never to go back to the Earth Elemental Plane ever again.
But it just keeps digging its claws in.
I never made that vow.
I did. I think I was like, I never want to go there ever again. I hate that place.
Great place. It's a great place.
It's delightful.
It's a great place once you get to know it. Like,
it's so good.
Even better now.
Much
Way
better now.
Still sand spiders, still Zorns. We didn't really get into the Zorn talk, but
I know there was never enough time to go Zorn wrangling.
Zorn Ranch. The Zorn Ranch. The one-armed giant who runs the Zorn Ranch.
One-armed Gornick. I remember him.
One-armed Gornick.
Look, Tim, there's just not enough time to pull on all the delicious threads.
Don't worry.
Because, like, that would just be in the same way that Oooby was basically a whole episode unto herself. One-armed Gornick would at least be half an episode.
Yeah, I mean, you don't ranch Zorn without
seeing some shit.
limbs.
You know what we forgot to fucking debrief about?
What?
Fucking Tim Carlson flirting with himself. After I was, as a throwaway gag, I'm like, I got my yummies. And I don't want to take up time, but yeah, we get some yummies for Clack. And you're like, oh, you don't want to play that? I was like, I mean, we don't have. You're like, okay. I'm like, okay.
Tim,
we're going to spend 20 minutes of you flirting with yourself.
In fact, I hurt my voice doing that. The next morning, I was like, my fucking throat is sore. I was like, am I coming down with something? And then it was like my soft palate. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, oh, it's because I was doing Clack voice to myself for 20 minutes. I was like, that's hard on the palate.
I loved,
I didn't have a proper warm-up.
Was it Jen who was like, you've rotated through all of us and now you just have to flirt with yourself? Yeah.
I guess I gotta take it in my own hands. It's too fun not to play out. Oh, yeah.
Oh, the bit between Clack not wanting to fuck up things with Yana. I live for that shit.
That's a rock and hard place.
That's true.
Yeah. Hasn't seen a Petch woman for a very long time. Jeez.
And a pretty one.
What's a pitch to do?
And a pretty one who's definitely giving the vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was laying
big
it on
vibes.
There was lots of vibes.
I mean, I will say, he was set up pretty well. Like, clearly,
you did a good job.
Clack is the boss of the Enterprise, carries all the important things.
Absolutely.
It was you leaving him at Yana's house all over again.
Sometimes that's what it means to be a gravel boy. Sometimes you tee people up, and sometimes you just let them drown in the sea of their beloved.
And hope they swim.
Yeah, they will.
Absolutely. Both turned out great. Both times.
Honestly, the Clack getting left at Yana's was like, that was the chapter, the new chapter, where they said, we can just be friends. And once they both agreed to be friends, they both realized, maybe, just maybe, there's something more there.
Oh,
and that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't just bailed on my friend at his beloved's parents' house.
It was perfect. It was
good.
Perfect.
It was very good.
That's such a nightmare position. Your friend's just like, hey, we're going out for dinner. And then you just drop them off at a house, and suddenly you're having dinner with their family, and your friend leaves, taking the car with them.
It'd be awful.
And he did just fine.
He did just fine. Because he's got lots of charisma. He was a sorcerer.
And also Yana is a delight and will welcome anyone into her family home.
True.
And most of the stuff flows right over her head anyway.
So sweet. So sweet.
I wouldn't want to be friends with Letters. I don't want anyone to have that much confidence in me not to sink it.
That's why I think Neppy and Letters are such a fantastic duo together. Because it's just like you have this like exceedingly charismatic,
Not even.
But
he's got a 13.
Charming and strong, put it that way.
He's enthusiastic. He's not charismatic.
Yeah.
An enthusiastic sound part to a very persuasive. And like very unassuming, very sweet, kind, very wise. You trust her. So it's like, have you met my friend? I'm wonderful. They're so wonderful.
You're going to love this person.
You're going to love this person.
Love this guy.
Yeah, I feel like Neppy and Letters would do great matchmaking. They would be great. I mean, to be fair, I'm a good matchmaker. So I've had some...
In real life,
I've had some very good success.
I don't have a good track record of like, oh, they're going to last. But I have pushed a couple people over the edge without realizing that I was pulling the strings. I'm a Machiavellian matchmaker where like these two are going to dance by the end of the night.
Making it happen.
It happened.
I think one couple that I set up was a friend of Tim's. And I
had a hand in that too. Okay?
You did. You did.
I was like, this guy with your friend.
And I was like, this is good. And then I asked the guy, I was like, are you dating anyone? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, when that's done, I have this other person you need to meet. And they've been together for 5.5 years.
How long was that time lapse between I have someone?
We get out them because they were a part of the campaign at one point.
That's right. Yeah. Emily and Dave.
Yeah.
5.5
No. My question is like, I'm dating someone. You're like, let me know when. How long did it take for him to get back to you and let you know when?
3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny story. I'll tell you a funny story about that after stream.
There's
a funny story about that.
But in any case, yes. Neppy.
What were we talking about? Did we get to the end of the episode?
We did.
Oh,
yes. We got through all that.
Great! What a natural place to tangent.
I know. Well, and like that's the end of the Earth Elemental Plane arc. And when we start picking up arcs again, which could be next week, maybe we'll throw in an RPG theory next time. Who knows? It's been a while.
We love those RPG theories.
It has been a while. But we'll talk about the Feywild arc, which is Callie's arc.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Von Kron.
And then, and truly then, we will have gotten there. We will be caught up.
There's a point, I'll fucking do a little spoilers. Going through the forest, there's a point where everyone kind of had to split off and kind of had to go solo. And everyone kind of had to fight their own spooky ghost in the woods.
Yes.
And there was a time where Letter's like, I'm not letting Clack go solo. Like, we're doing this together. Having to fight a spooky ghost together was the moment that sort of really, that was like, originally it was just like, you know, Shagford be something and like Scooby Dooby Doo, but together after that we were Shaggy and Scooby.
Yeah,
and all fighting a ghost will create an inseparable bond.
Yeah, yes. That goes for anyone. If you're trying to forge a real bond with someone, fight a ghost.
Fight a ghost.
Go fight a ghost. Fight it.
Hunt a ghost. Well, you don't necessarily have to fight a ghost. Fight a ghost. Hunt a ghost. Appease a ghost. Ooh. Or just settle a spooky mystery that's ghost related.
Perfect first date opportunity is to interact with a ghost with some way to see what happens.
Discover it's not a ghost, but some elaborate insurance ploy to like move people out from the home so that you can then purchase it at a steal
with your new best friend.
Or romantic
No. Or romantic partner. Or mutual sidekick.
Absolutely.
Come back next week as we deliver more dating tips at Chatwater D&D, where we chat all things Blackwater and romance.
Ooh, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any more big romance stuff that happens in the campaign before we catch up. A bit more Callie and Kamea stuff. A bit more of that.
There's Callie Kamea stuff. We dig into Callie's backstory and her previous romances.
Much previous romance. It's very good. But as for us this week, please come back and hang out with us on Wednesday for the Wagadu Chronicles.
Don't miss this one.
Do not miss.
So cool.
Do not miss. There's going to be some cool people. It is going to be a delightful time. Please come hang out with us. 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here with us. Me. There's going to be cosplay. There's going to be art. There's going to be music and fun, and it's going to be a good time. So please come. It's going to be great. Yeah. But other than that, we love you all. Stay safe out there, and we will see you on Wednesday. Okay, bye.
Bye.